Friends. I'm Amy and this is A-Star Reads, and it is time for Sunday Sum Up. So I'm really excited about this one because, well, I'm not excited that I didn't get a ton of books accomplished this week. I've been working through a lot. I actually have been reading quite a bit, but I'm working on a lot of obligation reads, so like I'm reading little bits every day to get those accomplished. But I thought, since I don't have too much going on, this might be a good time to include the Mid-Year Freakout tag because everybody's been doing it and it's the cool thing to do. All the cool kids are doing it. And I guess I'm swayed by the cool kids. I didn't think I was, but apparently I am. And I'm excited about it because it'll be a way that I can review what's happened so far this year and what I have to look forward to for the rest of the year. So as far as I'm aware, this was created by two creators, Ellie from Earl Grey Books and Shami, and I'm not sure if they did it collaboratively or if they did separate things and then the questions have been used from both of them to create this full tag, but I'll link both their channels down below and the questions that I have found from other booktubers. So let's get started. Let's see how my 2022 has gone so far. So the very first question is the best book that you have read in 2022 so far, and that is easily The Poet X by Elizabeth Acevedo. I listened to this one on an audiobook and I was completely blown away. Elizabeth Acevedo's own narration was stunning. The poetry was stunning. It made me feel so many things and I thought it was gorgeous, and I feel like if you're going to read this story, I recommend listening to it on audiobook. Question number 2, best sequel that you've read for the year so far. And this one was a little hard because I was comparing Shadow of Night by Deborah Harkness and Ship of Destiny by Robin Hobb. I'm gonna go with Ship of Destiny because for one, this was an amazing end to this trilogy. I thought it tied so many things together, pulled so much from the Farseer trilogy, which I loved. There was a lot of things that came together in this final book, and I absolutely loved it. Now I have a feeling when I read The Book of Life by Deborah Harkness, which is the third book in the All Souls trilogy, maybe that will be even better than Ship of Destiny. I don't know. But at the moment, I loved Shadow of Night, but I felt like the better continuation of a series was Ship of Destiny for me. Question number 3, favorite reread. So I have completely reread Cannery Row by John Steinbeck, and this is one I've reread like 3 or 4 times, and I absolutely loved it, was happy to reread it. But I'm currently rereading Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón, and it's incredible. I'm loving this reread so much. I'm loving the book as much as I loved it the first time, and it's fun because I'm buddy reading it with Danielle from Book Car, so we're having a great time, like just gushing over it because she's loving it as much as I am loving it. So I'm really happy to be doing this reread, and so I have to say Shadow of the Wind is my favorite reread for the year. Question number 4, genre that you've been loving the most or reading the most this year. And honestly, I have to default to children's picture books because I did a big children's picture book challenge. I took a class where I was reading about children's literature. I learned the most about children's picture books this year and how it's going to impact my future career, but then also how to have a completely different perspective on something that seems so simplistic. Children's picture books seem so simplistic, and differentiating between these types of books, it was a huge learning experience for me, and I absolutely loved it. So I have to say that whole experience has been thrilling for me. And if you'd like to know more and you'd like to see kind of what my journey was through these children's picture books, I did have a challenge and I'm not completely done with it. I have the finale coming out soon, hopefully this next week. I will link that down in the description box below the playlist because if you are at all curious about children's picture books, I went through a lot of them. I read like 70 something and then I ranked a lot of them. I don't think I included 70 something in my challenge, but I read a ton this year. Question number 5, a new release that you haven't yet read but you still want to or you are looking forward to. I recently got Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree from Leanna, and I have been excited about this book for a while. I haven't been able to pick it up, but I've been really excited about it because it gives me very cozy fantasy vibes. It reminds me of some of the games that I've played, like World of Warcraft. I played mostly EverQuest growing up. So like EverQuest, World of Warcraft reminds me of those kind of games, like little slice into life of a fantasy story. And so I'm really excited about this one and I would like to read it soon. We'll see if it happens. But yeah, this is definitely one that I own that recently came out that I cannot wait to get to. Question number 6 is my most anticipated release for the second half of 2022. Now, as you probably know, if you've been following my channel for a while, I do not stay on top of the releases. I'm not great with that. I am excited about the next Amari book coming out. I am excited about the next Alexis Henderson book coming out. But the one that actually intrigues me the most is one by an author I haven't read yet because I own Poppy War, but I haven't read R.F. Kuang's book, the Poppy War yet, but I'm really intrigued by Babel by R.F. Kuang. Based on what I've heard from people who have read it, I feel like this will be a book that I love. And it reminds me of some ways of how much I'm enjoying the whole Deborah Harkness series right now, because there is a level of academia that is incorporated into the story, is what my impressions are of this book of Babel, that I think I will really enjoy, because I'm enjoying it so much in the All Souls trilogy. Just that the research that the writer Deborah Harkness has put into it, it sounds similar to what I've heard R.F. Kuang has done for Babel. But I'm also interested and excited to hear what R.F. Kuang has to present as far as like colonialism and how that has affected academia, and like, it just sounds right up my alley. It sounds like a book that I will absolutely love. And so I am looking forward to that one, and I might try and pick that one up sooner rather than later, although it's a big book. Question number 7, biggest disappointment. So this one's hard. It's not a pleasant question. And honestly, some of my biggest disappointments were probably picture books. But I think what I'm going to say for this is The Neverending Story by Michael Ende. Now, I didn't hate this book. I did give it like 3.5 stars, something along those lines. But considering how much I loved the movies growing up, how much I love Neverending Story and the sequel, and how they're a big part of the nostalgia of my childhood, I expected to love the book so much more, and it wasn't my favorite. It wasn't as great as I hoped it would be. So I think that was a disappointment, because I had just put so much high hopes on it. And granted, that is my fault for putting unreasonable expectations on certain things. And the same could be said for like The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin, because I really expected to love that one, and everybody has been really loving it. And I loved a lot of the concepts in it, but the story and the writing itself was just not my favorite. It was still within the 3-star range, so these aren't like my lowest rated books. I've definitely read books this year that I've liked way less, but I think these were disappointments because I put so much pressure on them and so much hope into how much I was going to enjoy them. Question number 8 is biggest surprise, and for this one I'm actually going to go with They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. And the reason why this is my biggest surprise was because I was not enjoying this when I first started reading it. I wasn't liking the writing style. I was not forming any connections to these characters, did not like them. And then this book turned around so much for me. It was shocking. I gave it 4.25 stars, and the first third of the book I would have rated 3 stars or lower. So I wasn't enjoying it that much. Maybe not exactly to the point where I would DNF it, but I wasn't really enjoying it. And then it got so good that at the end I was like, this is 5 stars for the end. But I had to consider how I was feeling about it all the way through. And so ultimately, overall, a 4.25 felt correct for this book for me. But yeah, that was surprising because I didn't expect that to happen. Favorite new author, and this is either a debut author or a new to you author. And I'm going to go with Deborah Harkness because I've been loving the All Souls trilogy. I really love her writing style. I also love that she is an academic that has put a lot of research into the history and what she's brought into the All Souls trilogy. I've read the first 2 books. I've given them both 5 stars. I am loving it so much. I cannot wait to start the Book of Life in a couple of weeks. And I have a feeling this is going to be another winner for me. I think that this whole series is going to be one that I love and, will carry with me in my heart and hopefully reread at some point because I love her writing style so much. And I know that it's a little drawn out for some people. It's a little too much, but for me, it is exactly everything I want, and it has a very strong academic bent, which I really like about it. Okay, so there's one question that I completely forgot, and that is newest fictional crush. I guess I am someone who does get crushes on fictional characters because why the heck not? That's the fantasy. And probably my most recent one is Luke from Mortal Instruments because, I don't know, I got a thing for the Lukes of the world. More so in the first book, not as much in the second book, but I liked Michael from Discovery of Witches a lot in the first book. In the second book, he's fine, but not the same level as I did in the first book. Okay, so obviously my crush has lessened quite a bit because his name is actually Matthew. And then I guess Adam from The Love Hypothesis because yeah, I liked him. Newest favorite character. Now this is kind of hard because I tend to like characters even when they're ugly, icky characters. There's some characters that I really just like, but when it comes to my favorite, I don't know that I formed too many attachments to characters. Maybe I do. I haven't felt too many strong ones lately, even though I've loved the characters in the All Souls trilogy. I love the charactership of Destiny, and I do love the characters, but as far as like being my favorites, I don't know. It's really hard to make that decision. However, what I went with are two characters that when I was going back over my list of all the books that I have read, these ones stood out. And I was like, oh, I love those characters. And so I'm going to go with Mukesh from the reading list by Sarah Nisha Adams. He's just a character that gets in your heart and you feel for him and you see his pain and you just want to hug him and you just want to be his best friend. You really grow to care for him a lot throughout the story. And I really just loved his character. And so the other one I'm going to go with is Judah from Other Words from Home by Jasmine Warga, because I was so impressed by her as a main character. I loved her personality. I really loved her strength, but then also all the things that she was facing, she was dealing with. She was so positive. I don't know, for some reason her character just really touched me. And every time I think about her, I have very strong feelings towards her character in particular. Question number 11, a book that made you cry. Now, this one is a book that I'm currently reading and I'm not done with it, but man, I have already shed tears. And that is Braiding Sweetgrass by Robin Wall Kimmerer. This is a bridge between Indigenous ways of knowing and biological sciences that I needed in my life. This was something that I didn't realize I needed. And the work by Robin Wall Kimmerer, for one, her perspective is incredible because she's lived in both worlds and she's gotten her career as a botanist in the Western sciences, but then also she's been trying to reconnect for quite a few years with the Indigenous side of her that was kind of pulled away from her because her grandfather was sent to an Indian boarding school and there was a lot of reasons why she got pulled away from her heritage. And so getting to see her perspective on both sides and that bridge between the two and how well they marry. And then she's a poet, so her writing is impeccable. It is so beautiful that some of her sayings, some of her sentences make me cry just because they're so beautiful. But then of course some of the stories that she shares in here also are very touching and heartwarming, and then some of them are very painful. So there's a lot of instances in here where you're just like, ugh. You know, and it's so good. It's so good. And I'm only a book that made you happy. So this is a funny one because there's plenty of romances that I've read this year that have made me happy and I've enjoyed. But I'm actually going to go with one that I didn't even give 5 stars to. I enjoyed it a lot. I gave it pretty high rating, but I don't think it was 5 stars. What did I give it? Oh, I gave it 4.75. So, I mean, that's as close to 5 stars as you could possibly get. I think there was only maybe little minor things that made it so it wasn't a perfect 5 stars. The graphic novel Wires and Nerve Volume 2 by Marissa Meyer. Now, Volume 1 was good, and I enjoyed it because we were getting back with characters that we loved. But Volume 2 was so good, and I loved this graphic novel series that continued this story that felt not incomplete, but we wanted to revisit it. And I felt like I got a chance to revisit these characters that I love so much and get more completion to their stories. Especially the second volume. You know, Volume 1, a lot of people weren't as crazy about, but I feel like if you push through and you read Volume 2, you'd see why the graphic novels were fantastic. They were really good. They were really good. And it's Marissa Meyer's voice. And I know the art wasn't amazing for everybody because it didn't capture what they pictured in their heads when it came to when you read the original novels. And I get that because I felt that initially too. But I think I enjoyed the addition of this story so much that that didn't really matter. And the images grew on me as I went through, especially as I went through Volume 2. It made me so happy. It brought back these wonderful characters that I enjoyed so much last year. Question 13, most beautiful book that you either bought or received this year. And that is easy. Easy. I bought this version of Dracula, which is so gorgeous. It's got this fuzzy velvet texture, and the illustrations are by Edward Gorey, and it's so pretty. It is such a pretty book. And this is by Bram Stoker, one of my favorite classics. And look at these stenciled edges. Look how pretty they are. They're little bats. And that's the back of it. And there's just gorgeous artwork in this. And I can't wait to go through this and like read it again with all the beautiful art and just enjoy it as much as I've enjoyed it the multiple times that I've read it. I really love Dracula. I've read it by myself as well as in a class. So it was really fun reading in a class because we got to discuss so much more detail about this story. And certainly it's not perfect, but I never have cared. I've loved this book so much and I cannot wait to reread it, especially now that I have such a gorgeous copy, because I didn't have a copy before. So I'm like, oh, I need to get, and then when I saw this, I waited until, why did I buy this? I bought this for a special reason. There was some reason that I got to pick a, I don't even remember anymore. Was it for Not Safe for Workathon page? I think it was for Not Safe for Workathon. I think that's why I bought it. Question number 14 is, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And that, all of them. I mean, I am trying to put a lot less pressure on myself in the second half of this year as far as reading goes, because I am frustrated with the fact that I've been getting too stressed lately. My stress levels have been too high. I haven't been able to manage them as well, and I need to work on that. So I don't want to put that much pressure, although of course I need to finish the All Souls trilogy, because with Bookstar read-alongs we're reading that, and we're also reading the Mortal Instruments series. So those are the two series that I have to finish. Plus, I'm also reading the Narnia series right now as a buddy read, and we'll be finishing that, I think, in September. And so, yeah, mostly it's my obligation buddy reads that I want to make sure I get finished, because I'm trying to be better this year about not falling through on that and being a horrible buddy read partner. Question 15, favorite videos that you have posted this year. I would say that my favorite series of videos that I've done, one of them was my road trip books that we read going on a road trip down to visit family in Southern California. I really had fun with those. I really love doing vlog style videos, and also I used to have a travel channel, so like anything that adds travel to it, I'm enjoying. Like I got a little burnt out with my travel channel on recording everything while I was on vacation, because then you feel like you're not really enjoying your own vacation. You're just using it for footage and stuff like that. And it was fun because I got to see and do a lot of fun things, and I got to share them with people, but it was too much. So this was the perfect combination of enjoying my vacation, but then also including my travel stuff into my vlogs, and then incorporating books, because this is a book channel. It was a lot of fun. So like it felt like a blast doing that series. And then I also had a lot of fun when I threw my TBR out the window and did a 48-hour romance readathon where I read romance books. To pick those books, I used this, what is it called? I don't remember what it's called anymore. I will link the playlist for my road trip videos as well as that 48-hour readathon vlog down in the description box below. I mean, there's a lot of videos I enjoyed this year, but I think those are the ones, looking back at all the videos I've done, that I had a lot of fun doing and I look back fondly on. Question 16 is your favorite book community members. And to be honest, there's way too many to put here and to comment on. And I do talk about a lot of other booktubers in my videos, as well as I do shout outs to some of my subscribers. There's people who I am in contact with through Instagram a lot, and I just appreciate all of you. There's a lot of great booktubers out there. I know that like I am one in a huge, huge sea of booktubers. And so if you are looking for amazing booktubers, you know, check out some of my friends who I mention in my videos. I've done a lot of reading sprints with my friends, and I plan on having other booktuber friends on my channel to do reading sprints with me in the future. So hopefully through me and through my channel, you find other booktubers that you really want to follow and get to know. And then if you talk to people in the comments, especially during our reading sprints, we have a great little community we get going. We talk about a lot of different things, and, you know, we get to know each other pretty well. So keep an eye out on that. Come join us for reading sprints. It's when we get to be a little more personal with each other. It's wonderful. And so that's it for my mid-year freakout tag. I felt like when I was going through my lists that I didn't have as many 5-star reads this year as maybe I did last year. So maybe my reading hasn't been as spectacular this year yet as it was last year, but there's still a second half of the year to go, and I'm still enjoying my reads. I've had a lot of good reads this year. If you've done the mid-year freakout tag, let me know in the comment section down below, or tag me, because I'd like to check it out and see how you answered these questions. Be interested to hear your thoughts and how your year's been going. Pomegranate cherry smoothie bowl, which I made the way it said to, but it's still pretty liquidy. So I don't know, it's more like a smoothie as opposed to a bowl. Okay, so my friend took me to her hot yoga class, and we did hatha yoga, so it wasn't too ridiculous, but woo! I've never been to hot yoga before, and if anybody's done it, knows what it's like. It makes you sweaty. But it was good. It was really good, and I'm glad I did it. I'm just, it was hot. It was hot. I completely forgot to show this while I was making it, but I made some tuna salad, and it's got fennel in it, and it's got green olives, olive oil. What else does it have in it? Lots of garlic, tuna, obviously, and that's mostly, oh, lemon juice, and pepper. So it's really good. I love the fennel, the way the fennel adds the flavor to the tuna, and then of course the green olives add a great little zip to it. So I'm currently reading Braiding Sweetgrass, and The preface in this is the prettiest little preface I've ever read. She tells you about the significance of braiding sweetgrass, why that the act of doing it with someone else, braiding it together, brings people together, like it creates relationships, and how special it is. I'm really loving her perspective. And she says in here, like, I just want to say I'm a plant scientist, but I'm also a poet. And you can tell that because she combines the science of what she's talking about so well with her culture and with the poetry and just the beauty of her words. Like, it is incredibly stunning. Like, I can see why this book is so well loved, because it is very poetic and it is really beautiful, but it also has that intertwining of the two cultures in a sense that it's just done really, really well. And I feel like a lot of people could learn so much from this book. And just little bits, like I'm only reading little bits every day because, you know, it is a lot. It's dense in a good way. I mean, because it's just a lot. There's just so much to unpack here. And I could see reading this over and over again. I feel like almost every line in this book could be a quote that you want to hang on the wall or remember, you know. And I'm not an annotator, but this has made me want to annotate. There's so many times that I'm like, oh, I just want to highlight that sentence. Oh, I just want to remember that. So before I let you go, let's get caught up on where I'm at with my reading. Like, what did I do this week? Did I read anything? I did. I read. I didn't finish anything. I am 52% of the way through with my audiobook. I'm listening to A Good Marriage by Kimberly McCreight. Today I'm doing a lot of I need to do some cleaning and stuff like that. So I'm doing that while I'm listening to this. It's a domestic thriller about this woman that gets murdered. And we're getting to some of the court scenes, which I really enjoy that part of thriller mysteries. That's fun. Plus the way this story reads, you've got different perspectives and then you've got different timelines. So you're jumping back and forth between like before the murder and now the current time. And I really enjoy that, especially when it comes to thrillers. So I'm having a good time with that. And hopefully I'll have that done this week. I think I'll probably be able to get it done this week. And then as I had mentioned last week, I have quite a few paced reads because I'm buddy reading a lot of books right now. And so I'm reading these books and I call them paced reads because I'm reading a certain number of pages a day. So the first one that I'm caught up on is Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. I'm buddy reading this with Danielle from Bookara, and I'm 70% of the way through this one. She's already plunged ahead because she's like, I can't wait to go. And I'm like, I don't blame you. I'm excited too, but I'm trying to get caught up on everything. And then I will continue that one next week and we will get that finished. So that reread is going amazing. And I'm really excited about it because we kind of ended off this last section right before everything starts happening. And then my second buddy read that I am up to date with right now is The Light Between Oceans by M.L. Stedman. I'm 112 pages in, which is where I needed to be for this part of our buddy read. I'm enjoying the story overall. The writing style's taken me a while to get into. A lot more choppy writing style than some of the other books I've been reading recently, which are a lot more flowery and pretty. So it's taken me a little longer to get into the story, I think, than it would with a different writing style, because I like the story. I like what's going on. I'm very interested in what's happening, and it's just getting better and better. So we'll see how it goes. Next, Braiding Sweetgrass. I am 82 pages in. I need to be here by the end of this weekend, and I will get there. And that's going really well, actually. Gosh, I'm loving this. If it continues to go the way it's going right now, it's definitely going to likely be my favorite book of the year. And then I also mentioned that I wanted to reread Prince Caspian before I started on the next couple Lion the Witch and the Wardrobe books that we have to read for the month of July. And so I started rereading it. I haven't read that much yet of my reread. Let's see where. Yes, I've read like that much. And then I've got that much to go. I'm hoping to get that done today and tomorrow so that next week I can focus on the next book in the series, which is The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. I'm trying to make sure I don't do these last minute so that when we have our live shows, I'm not feeling like I have to, like with Prince Caspian, where I had to listen to it really fast on audiobook and not feel like I actually got the full appreciation for it. So I'm currently rereading Prince Caspian. I should have that done by the end of the weekend. And then finally, I'm reading The Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. I'm a little less than halfway through that one. I'm on page 54. I think I had gotten about halfway through the first time, and that was during a week where I just should not have been reading. I'm happy to be rereading it. It reminds me a lot in its vibe and the feeling it gives you of the Chi Dragon Society. And The main character is a tea monk, but it's not really because of the tea element of it that I feel like this reminds me of the graphic novel series. I think it's the warm fuzziness element of it, the way Becky Chambers represents her characters, as well as the good representation that she has in this book. I feel like it's done really well, and it reminds me a lot of the way the Tea Dragon Society graphic novel was and the kind of feelings I got from that book. Let me know in the comment section down below what was the best book that you read this past week, and also let me know what was the worst book you read. Was there a book that you just weren't feeling, you know, because it happens. It happens to all of us. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see what happens next week. See if I finish this one. This is the only one I'm guaranteed. Oh, no. I'll finish Shadow of the Wind and I'll talk to you about that one. Even though I already can tell you, it's one of my favorite books still. So thank you so much for watching and I will see you later.